Alright, your boy Taco Phil here. So today, or as one of my videos, I'm going to talk about logs. So Greyhound uses electronic logs. Now, again, I'm not a representative of Greyhound. This is not a any sort of official video. This is my way of helping you guys to understand the logs. Now, the cool thing about the logs is the logs are not Greyhound not specific to Greyhound. So it's not some sort of Greyhound video that I'm telling you about. Um, the logs are just general. The logs are a federal standard. So if you're driving trucks, you're driving buses, you're gonna have to deal with logs. So Greyhound does electronic logs. You guys can see that. They do electronic logs, and a lot of companies are doing electronic logs now because it's so much easier to manage these logs. And if you do electronic logs, let's see if I can find a good one. I guess this will have to do. This is how the logs look. Let's see if I can get without the glare. There you go. So the logs are broken up into your off-duty time, your on-duty driving. This line, which mine isn't filled in because we don't use that, is if you're a trucker, you use berthing. And then the bottom line, so right here, is on-duty non-driving. So those are the columns that you have to remember, that you have to log. So remember, the thing about a log is the log has to be maintained as long as you are a commercial driver and work for a company, plain and simple. And that includes your on and off time. So if you see here, I didn't work that day, so the log still has to reflect for 24 hours off duty. So if you're working for a like my company and you guys have electronic logs, as soon as you log off, it'll automatically show that you're off duty, and any day that you're off, it'll continuously show you're off duty. Now, if you work for my company and you are going through our training school, you have to learn about paper logs. So, log in here. This is the paper log. The paper log is a book that sits in that you keep with you in case for a reason your electronic log goes down. You have to show if the highway patrol pull you over, you have to be able to show 7 days of your driving history. So if for some reason you get pulled over and your phone isn't working, you have to maintain a paper log. You have to show them a paper log. So, you log in and out every day. If you see that your deal's not working, you gotta call, your operations or whatever and get a copy of all your driver log information and show them. So this is the official log, how it looks. Gotta block the Greyhound logo because Greyhound doesn't want me to represent you guys. So this is just a training class. This is just a little tips for me if you're dealing with logs. It's got nothing to do with Greyhound or any specific company. These are just federal logs, plain and simple. All right? So if anybody asks, these are federal driving logs. All right? So that's how you do that. So that's the log book right there. Oh, God damn it. Sorry about that, guys. Stupid camera stand here was a little unstable. I need to fix that. Alright, so instead of stopping, I'm just going to keep going. I like to do all my videos off the cuff. Alright, so this is a blow up of the logs here. And basically, the first page you're going to come up is going to be your actual 1 month period. So this is 30 days plus 7 days of your previous log. So each day is going to be the hours that you drove. So you start off with your 7 days, your last 7 days of the month. You take that total and you add it up, and it gives you your starting hours from the previous month. Right? Then you subtract, because you use your hours that you drove that day, and you add it to your previous hours to tell you how many hours you worked that specific day. And then you drop that down and you start working every day. You're adding up your hours. And what you do is, to get this column here, your hours for your next day, you take, because a neat trick is you take the hours that were added. So you take the hours that you worked the previous day, you add the hours that you worked today, and you get your total. The easiest way to figure out what your hours are for the next day, and this was a trick they teach you in school, is you go 7 days before today and you subtract those days, the hour that you worked those days, from your total hours worked today, or your total hours that you worked previously plus today, and that'll give you your total hours for the next day. And then you just keep doing that. You add your hours that you worked, you bring that over, and you put into your total. You subtract your 7th day, and boom. Real easy. A lot of people have problems with that. You know, the numbers are what will kill you. Drawing the graph is pretty easy. So, here's a blown up example. I'm going to black the gray hand here. Here's a blown up example of the logs. And this is what, if you're in school, you'll use this driver log in order to help you learn the logs. You have to know how to use the paper logs. You do a test on the paper logs in the class for my company. So here's an example of a completed paper log. And it's really simple to fill out. You're going to start with your date. You're going to start with, then you're going to go on to your vehicle number. You're going to do the date that you ended if it's a multi-day trip. You're going to do the location you started and the location you ended at. You're going to sign your name. You're going to put your driver number. And then you're going to start drawing. Now when you draw these things, remember you have your columns. You have your off-duty, which is at the top. You're driving, and you're on duty. If you are a trucker, you'll have a berthing section as well. If you don't have a berthing section, you may not have it. So it depends on your specific company. Now, when you draw these guys, you want to draw in the middle of the column for the hours that you worked. So, for example, in this example, from midnight until 8 a.m., this driver was off duty. At 8 a.m., they went on duty. So, what you do is, the moment you change your status, so changing your status is going from on duty to off duty, going from on duty to driving, going from on duty to off duty, you're going to drop down and make a full line. And in that line, you're going to write down the location that status change occurred at. So in this one, she went on duty at 8 a.m. and then started their on duty time from 8 a.m. to a little after noon. And once they've gone to a little after noon, they change their status from going on duty to driving. So we're going to drop down a column, boom, where they went on duty. And we're going to bring that line up to driving. All right, so they drove from around a little before 1 to about 4 o'clock, and then they had to stop. So because we went on a stop, we're no longer driving, we're going on duty, we're going to bring that line all the way down to show where we were when we changed that status, and we're going to show that we were on duty, non-driving. Once we're done going on duty, non-driving, we went back to driving, we're going to bring that column up. Because we're in the same location, you can bracket if you're going from on duty to driving in that same location. So we can bracket here and bring it up to show the change of status and to link the location to where we changed our status and continue going. Now, as far as when you can bracket, the rule is if you're going from on duty to driving, you can bracket it into the same location. But if you're going from driving to on duty, you need to bring it down and show the new location. If you're going from on duty to off duty, you need to bring it down and show the location. So that's a simple one. A lot of people mess that one up. Once you're done, you get at the end of the day, you've gone off duty, you've shown all your locations that you've gone off duty. You're going to tally your times. You're going to calculate your off duty time, calculate your driving time, and calculate your on duty non-driving time. And they should all add up to be 24 hours. And then once that's done, you're going to bring in your hours from the summary sheet. And put down, because you're gonna, once you've figured out your hours from your summary sheet, it'll give you your eligible hours, which is just simple, subtracting the hours that you worked from the hours that you have, and tell you how many hours you can work. Plain and simple. It's a really simple deal to do. Some people have a hard time. It gets a little confusing when they're doing the you get a little worksheet, and it tells you, this person drove from this time, this person wasn't driving at this time. So a lot of people get a little confused, and a few people have had hard times with it. In my class, we had, I think, just like one person who failed the logs, but pretty much they give you a couple chances to figure out the logs, but you do have to understand how to do the logs in order to pass at my company. So those are some real simple tips. Just remember to do your bracketing for every change of status, or not your bracketing, your lines for every change of status. Make sure you fill it out completely. Make sure you put your locations. And then remember the numbers. Real simple to fill out. So like here, this is an example. It shows you, what hours they worked on what day. And boom. Real simple. So, if you guys have any questions, if you're going through the program, and or your company uses paper or electronic logs, now you have an understanding. Now you have to maintain the logs. It's federal law. If CHP or any sort of highway patrol or state police pull you over, and they ask for your logs, you're federally mandated to show them your logs and to maintain your logs. If you don't maintain your logs, then you can get a big fat ticket. And it's not the company, it's you who gets a big fat ticket for not maintaining your logs. You can also be facing, some big charges if you're driving and you do not have your logs up to date, or if your logs show that you're over your time. So make sure you watch your logs, make sure you watch your your driving times, and make sure you understand how many hours you have. So here on your logs, let's see if I can get it to focus. You have 3 important columns. You have your 10 hour. It's hard, it wants to focus on my face. You have your 10 hour. So federal law says that you can't drive more than 10 hours a day. You've got your 15 hour, which says that from the time you go on, and the 15 hour, I believe, is our company specific, but it might be different for your company. So the 15 hour says that for 15 hours, for our company, we have a 15 hour, and basically it says that from the time you sign on to the time you sign off, you can't work more than 15 hours in one day. And then the 70 is another federal law that says that no driver in the U.S. can work more than 70 hours within a 8-day period, or 7-day. Yeah, within an 8-day period, you can't work, or 7-day period. Sorry, within a 7-day period, you can't work more than 70 hours. So make sure you guys maintain your laws, stay within the law. Don't let anybody convince you to go outside of your time. Make sure you understand when your time starts, all that good stuff. So yeah, and my company gives you 9 hours. So if you do something and you log off, you have 9 hours of mandatory rest before you can work again. Now, Federal law is 8 hours. So if you're working for a company that only goes by federal law, that means once you work, your logs don't reset until you have a minimum of 8 hours of rest. So that means if you are outside your 15, you're driving and you stop for several hours, that means that you cannot continue. You can't go back on duty and start a fresh day until you've had a minimum of 8 hours of rest. All right. So hopefully that helps you with the logs, helps you understand that. Like I said, it's not specific to my company. The logs are general. They work for every driving company. They have logs. If you drive trucks, they have logs. You drive buses, you have logs. If your company does not give you logs, then you need to tell them that you are not within federal compliance, especially if you're driving interstate. You can get into big trouble for not having properly maintained logs, especially if you get pulled over. So if you guys have any more questions, feel free to leave any comments or any questions. I'll try to keep posting some videos on driving and stuff like that. Yeah, I'll talk to you guys later. It's always a pleasure to put some information out there.